Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at dividing decimals. So let's quickly go into, I'm going to go two methods. In my green pen I'm going to show you a visual way of doing it, and then in my purple pen I'll show you the vertical method. So for our first question we have divide 0.8 by 2. So we can write it like this. Remember we call the one on the right, we call it the divisor. The divisor, and when we get an answer we call it the quotient. So I'm just going to write QU for the quotient. So I'm going to write my 0.8 as 0.1, yeah, because this 8 represents the tenths. So anything after the decimal, the first number is a tenth, and then the next number after that will be the hundredths, and then thousandths, and so on. For here, I've only just got one number after my decimal, so it's just tenths. So I've written 8 tenths here. So you can see I've got 8 of these all here. I've now arranged them by 2. So I've arranged them in 2 columns. So if I wanted to count it, I could just do a quick little line here and go, I've got one group, 2 groups, so I've got it out of 2. So great, step done. And the question's just saying how many is in each group. Yeah, that's what division is. It's just wanting to see how many equal groups can you split into. So I've got groups of 1, 2, 3, 4. So the groups of 4, but what are they? They are 1 tenth, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths. So we actually say it is 4 tenths. Yeah, so one group is worth 4 tenths together, another group is worth 4 tenths together, another group is another 4 tenths. So then it means my answer is 0.4. Yeah, great. So that was the visual way of doing it. The way how I would do it normally, especially if I was given that question and it was in my book, is I would write it like this. So the divisor we put out the front, so I've got 2 divided by 0.8. So I'd write it like this, right? I'm just going to zoom it in for you so it's easy to see. So I start off and I go, and what would help is often having this on the side of my page. So I've got a division symbol, then I have a times symbol, then a minus symbol, and then a downwards arrow symbol. So that just helps me remember the steps of doing division, the short division or long division. This is mainly helpful for long division though. So first step is divide. So 2 into 0 goes 0 times. Yeah, so now going to the time, so it goes 2 times 0 equals 0. That makes sense. And then I can say, all right, well, now I go take away. So 0 take away 0 equals 0. Yeah. And now I bring in my arrow, which just means I bring the 8 down, and now I'm doing 2 into 8. Yeah, because I've just got this decimal right here, whoops, it means that I need to put the decimal in now because I'm up to that decimal. So now I'm doing 2 into 8. 2 goes into 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. It goes in 4 times. So there's my answer. And then I go, well, is there anything else left? And there's nothing here. So it means I can finish the question. Just say that's it. So my answer is 0.4. So you can see that my answer was the same. Yeah. Let's have another visual. So I'll again give you out my green so you can see exactly what's going on. So I've got the question, what is 4 divided by 5? Right, so I've rewritten it like this, 4 divided by 5. So I've got my 4 written right here. So I've got them written as wholes, yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4. for me to divide it now, I'm going to have to split it up, because if I had 4 and I wanted to give it to 5 people, here are my 5 people over here. Yeah, pretend there's 5 of them. Now you get the idea. I got 5 people. I can't share it equally to them. Yeah, the last person goes, oh no, there's none for me. So what do? We need to split it up. So each one of these I've then split up into 10 parts. So one of them has now been scratched out into tenths. So I've got 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, all the way to 10/10. So 10/10 is equal to a whole. Yeah. So I've got 10/10 is equal to just one whole thing. Yeah. I've then had to do that for all of them. So I made this one into this. Yeah. And then I made this one into this, and then I made this one into this. So I've now split it up. So now I finally can sort it into fifths, right? So let's do that. I'm going to, I will go split up to fifths. So I can put a line here to make it even, here to make it even, here to make it even, and my final one here to make it even. So I've got into 5 parts. Yeah, so I've got 1 part here, here's my second, here's my third, fourth, and fifth. I've got it into 5 equal parts. So the question is, how much does each person get, which is what division is? Well, I've got 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10. So my answer is 8/10. And this is how I write 8/10, because remember this number here means tenths. Yeah, I just added all those 0.1s together. Okay, here's the vertical way of doing it. And from now on, we'll just stick to vertical for the rest of today's video. So if I just zoomed it in a bit, sorry about that. Okay, so I just will write division times, take away arrow here. We've got 4 divided by 5, right? So we've got, I write my 5 first, and then my 4 next. Yeah, you always write them the opposite direction when you're working it out as the vertical method. All right, so divide first. 5 into 4 goes 0 times. I can't do it. Yeah, doesn't work. Now I do 5 times 0 is 0. Then I go 4, take away 0 is 4, right? Because I've got, it didn't work at all, I have to put my decimal in now, right? Because now I am putting in a decimal here, and I have to do my arrow method now, yeah? So I'm going to draw in a 0, because there's an infinite amount of zeros after the decimal point. If you've watched my previous videos, I can bring down the 0. So now it's 5 into 40. Yeah, so 5 goes into 40. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 goes in 8 times. And then I go, well, I could do the times and minus and arrow again, but I'm going to get 40, I'm going to get 0 left over, and there's nothing here, so I don't need to bring anything down because I've got 0, and there's no point me going 5 into 0 because it's going to be 0, so my answer is going to be an infinite amount of zeros after here, so I can just stop, right? So you just stop when it's going to be repeated. So my answer is 0.8, and that's what we had up at the top, 0.8. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. Let's have some more examples. So, and a lot of these questions are going to be, what do we do if we have after the decimal place? So I'm going to try and do all 3 of these in the same thing. So we've got 3 divided by 12.921. So 3 into 1 goes in 0 times. Yeah. I'll just quickly will write these symbols here so I don't forget. It's really important to have that if you don't know the order. Yeah, so my arrow, it's obviously a bit wonky donkey, but that's okay. So 3 times 0 is 0. So if I, so it should be under the 1. And then 1 take away 0 is 0. Now bring down the 2, right? So now I go to the next one. 3 into, 3 take away, 1 take away 0 is not 0, it's 1. My apologies. 3 into 12 goes in 4 times. So 4 times 3 is 12, which gives me, take away here, which gives me 0 remainder. Lovely. So now I bring down my 9. 3 into 9 goes 3 times. I've just gone past the decimal because I'm up to 9, so I put in my decimal now. Now I go 3 into 9 goes 3 times, yeah? And then 3 times 3 is 9, which gives me 0 remainder, so I'm going well, great. I bring in my 2, I go 3 into 2, and I go, uh-oh, spaghetti-o, it's 0, I can't do it. No, you shall not pass. So 3 times 0 is 0, yeah, which gives me 2 remainder. Bring in my 1, yeah, so I'm just following these steps right here. 3 goes into 21 7 times, I believe. And then 3 times 7 is 21, which gives me 0 remainder. There's nothing over here, so I can stop, right? So my answer is, I might just rub this out so we've got some more space for the next questions. My answer is 4.307. Yeah, so I'd write that there. Let's try this next one, 3 divided by 4. So I write the 4 first, then the 3. 4 into 3 goes 0 times. So 4 times 0 is 0. 3 take away 0 is 3. I now need to bring down a number. Yeah, that's this step. Is there something there? No, there isn't. So I need to actually draw a decimal now and put in a 0. If we've just got to the decimal point, I need to add the decimal point because I'm up to that in my question. So now I can bring that 0 down. 4 into 30 goes 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. If I go any further, I'm going to get to 32. It's going to be too far. So I did it 7 times, 7 fingers, right? 4 times 7 was 28, as I just said with my mouth. Yeah, so I do my fingers up here and my mouth for here in terms of counting. And then I can go my takeaway step. Sorry for all the crazy scribbles now. And that gives me 2 remainder. And then there's nothing over here. So what do I do? Yeah, my question was, what do I do after the decimal? Well, I can draw in another 0 because I've got leftover. So because I have leftovers, I need to bring it down. So 4 into 20 goes 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 goes in 5 times. And then that gives me 4 times 5 is 20. That gives me 0 remainder. Because I've got no more remainder, I don't need to draw in any more zeros because I've got no remainder. So if I keep going, it's just going to be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So I can just stop there. Yeah. So my answer is 0.75 or 7/10 5/100ths. Yeah. Let's go this final question here. 6 into 25.5. So 6 into 2 goes in 0 times, which gives me 2 remainder, right? I bring down my 5. I don't need to do any decimals yet because I'm not up to decimal point yet. 6 into 25, 6, 12, 18, 24. Yeah, I'm on 24. If I go any further, I'm going to be past 25. So I write my fingers down first. Now I do the times. So 6 times 4 was 24, which is what I said with my mouth. And then I do the minus from my symbols over here, yeah? And I've got 1 remainder. Now I do my arrow, which is from over here, and I bring down my 5. Now I've just gone past the decimal, so I've got to add it in. 6 into 15, right? 6, 12. If I go any further, I'm going to go too far. So I'll write my 2. 6 times 2 was 12. What is the remainder? Is 3. There's no number here, so I need to add a 0 here and then bring down the 0. 6 into 30, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30 was 5. So my answer is 4.25. Yeah? My next step is don't forget to check your answer by estimating. Yeah? So what do I mean by that? I'll do another pen so it's a bit clearer. Let's just go green. So with our first question, 12, I'll just do it over here, 12.921 is almost, here's my estimation symbol, is almost 13. Yeah? Almost 13. And it's close to 12 as well. But it's closer to 13 because I'm rounding up because I've got a 9 here. So 13 divided by 3, it's going to have some decimal in it, but you know, I know that 12 divided by 3 is 4, so it's going to be like 4.5-ish. It's going to be 4, and it's going to be higher than 4, right? That's my estimation, and my answer was 4.307. So is it a good guess? Yeah, it is, because my answer was going to be 4 and a bit. Yeah. So for 3 divided by 4, how do I estimate that? That's when it gets a little bit trickier. You might need to just say, well, I know I've got a small number divided by a big number, so I know that it's going to be smaller than 1. Yeah, because if you're dividing, if your divisor is bigger than the first number, then yeah, it's always going to be lower than 1. So that's just helpful because I know that 4 divided by 4 would be 1. Yeah, so I know that if this number's bigger, it's just what's going to happen. And then my final question, how do I estimate that one? I could go, well, 25.5 is almost 26. Yeah, so 26 divided by 6 was like, it's like 4-ish. Yeah, because I know 30 goes into 6, sorry for the loud voice, 5 times. So I'm just saying, like, I don't actually know exactly what the answer would be, 4 point something. But yeah, I know that 30 will be 5. So I know it can't be higher than 5. So I'm going to do a little down arrow. So I know the answer will be lower than 5, but higher than 4. That was my quick estimate. Yeah. So it's always good to do in your head, because if your answer was 42.5, well, then you go, hang on, that doesn't make sense because it has to be smaller than 5. Otherwise, it would be janky. All right. Step 5, rounding to the nearest. So we have the nearest whole number, the nearest 1 decimal place, or the nearest 2 decimal places. So I've got some examples here. So the nearest whole number. Remember, if it's between 0 and 4, we round down, and if it's between 5 and 9, we round up. So nearest whole number, I'm going to look at the tenths because I'm wanting this one to get bigger. So I look to the one to the right. Yeah. So it's a 2, which gives me this category. So I'm going to say my answer is 7. Yeah. I don't write in my decimals because it's saying just the nearest whole number, nothing else. For 9.6, well, I'm looking at this 6. I'm wanting the 7 to be bigger. Sorry, 7. What am I saying? The 9 to either go up or down. So the 6 is in this category. So I know I need to go up, right? So instead of 9, it's going to become 10. Yeah. For 1 decimal place, well, I'm wanting this one to either round up or down. So I have to look to the one to the right, which is this one, right? So is 6, which category is it in? So the second one, so I have to round up. So I know my answer is going to go 5 point, and the 3 is now going to come a 4 because I rounded up because that's 6. And for the next one, again, for 1 decimal place, I'm focusing on my 9 right here. So I have to look at the 7 to see what to do. 7's in the higher section, so it means this 9 is going to have to go up. What happens when I go up? It's going to have to actually then spill over to the next side. So instead of writing 0.10, I can't do that because that doesn't work. The 9 becomes a 0, and that 10 is now in my 1 section. So it's now 1.0. Yeah, or I can just write it as 1. Because if there's no other decimals after the decimal point, it's just zeros, I can just ignore them. And then 22.324, I'm looking at 2 decimal places now. So I'm wanting this one to either go up or down. So I've got to look to the 1 to the right. So I'm looking at the 4. The 4's on the smaller side, so it's just going to stay the same. So 22.32. You can notice I've now not written the 4 because I'm just writing to 2 decimal places. And the final question, 3.76599213. Yes, this would be tenths, hundredths, thousandths. What did I get to? Sorry. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, tens of thousandths, hundreds of thousandths, millionths, tens of millionths. So we're getting pretty high, right? I'm just wanting to look at the 6 though, because that's my second decimal place, my hundredths. Look at the 5 to see what I do. The 5's on the bigger end, so I'm going to go 3.77. My 6 has now become a 7. The rest of them I'm not going to write. While I'm on this, let's pretend that I have a new question, and my number is 4.2333333 because I've typed in my calculator and it just keeps coming up with 3s. What you do with that, we call this a reoccurring number. So the second we notice it's reoccurring, what we can actually do is do a line above it and rub out the rest of them. So the line just means it reoccurs. Yeah. If the question was not that, and the question was, what's 4.2 6 7 6 7 6 7, some kind of pattern, well then you could put the line above where the pattern starts. So it goes 6 7 6 7 6 7, and then I could write out the rest. So I just know that it just repeats from 6 7. I don't think there's any number that would do that, but there are some where there's a pattern. Great. And then the final step, question number 6, dividing whole numbers by numbers ending in 0. So let's go for it. So we have 6 divided by 10. So let's write, here's the trick. If we end with zeros, we've got 2 zeros, we've got 3 zeros. Here's the trick. Remember, because the number on the right, the divisor is bigger than this number, it means my number is going to be smaller than 1. So just have that as your estimate quickly. So I'd go, well, what's 6 divided by 1? It'll be 6. And then I know that because of the 0, I actually have to bring my decimal that would be here over 1 spot. So my decimal's now here. So my answer is 0.6. So then if the question was, what is 0.06 divided by 10? Now this number's bigger, so great. But because of this 10, it means I can just divide it by 1. So 0.06, yes, that's just divide by 1. And because of the 0 here, it means I can just move the decimal over 1 to the left. Yeah, multiplication was the opposite direction, 1 to the right. But division is 1 to the left. So my answer's now got a decimal here. So my answer is 0.006. Yeah. For divide by 100, it just means I need to move it twice. I'm going to divide by 1. So I've got 57.3. So 57.3 divided by 1. And now I've got the 2 zeros. So I'm going to bring the decimal over twice. So my decimal is now here. Yeah. So my answer's, my answer is now 0.573. Final one, what happens if it's not a 1? So I've got a 7 here, so I've got 7,000 rather than 1,000. Let's go 21 divided by 7 to begin with, which is 3. And then let's look at our 0. So I've got a 0 here, so I can write that in if you want to. So I've got a 0 here, so just put it here. And then because of these 3 zeros, it means I'm now going to move my decimal over 3 times. So if I've got a decimal here now, move over 3. So 1, 2, 3. So my new answer would be, and I would have to put a 0 here and a decimal here, right? So I've got 0.03. And I'm not going to write this 0 here because there's no other numbers of any value. So again, I could write an infinite amount of zeros, but it's not going to help me. So I can just write it as that. And that is it. All right, that's all I wanted to get through today. All the best with your work.